We live?
Okay. Hello and welcome to the Tuesday, April 7th, 2026 meeting of the Litchfield Planning Board. Will everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first up is roll call of members present. Jared O'Connell, Chair.
Travis Tucker, Vice Chair.
Russell Blanchett, member.
Diane Kaminsky, Selectmen's Representative.
Jesse No, member.
Letha Riley, member.
Okay, and yeah, since the last meeting, Jesse is now a full voting member, and I'm now Chair, and Travis Tucker is now Vice Chair. So we don't have any more alternates. We are looking for some if anyone's interested. So no appointments of alternates tonight. So before we get to the main items, does anyone, do any of members of the public have any comments on non-agenda items? Okay, seeing none, so we'll move on to the first item on our agenda, which is application acceptance of a site plan and conditional use permit for Colby Farm owned by Morgan Road Investments LLC. The property is located at the corner of Charles Bancroft Highway and Albuquerque Avenue, tax map 21, lot 4. The parcel is located in the Northern Commercial District and requires a conditional use permit in the mixed-use development. The parcel is 25 acres and currently undeveloped. The proposal is for 86 residential units in 11 buildings. Each building would contain between 6 and 8 units. The site would also contain a 10,000 square foot multi-tenant retail building and a 8,035 square foot daycare facility. So the first step would be to check if the application is ready for acceptance. So are the butters notified and all fees paid?
Yes, there are, butters are notified, fees are paid.
Okay. So is there anything that would block us from accepting the application as complete?
Either the checklist items are substantially met.
Okay. Any comments by the board members?
This time.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion to accept the plan for its completeness?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second. Or
We have a second by Travis Tucker. Any further comments? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstained? Okay, motion passes. 6-0-0. Okay, so the plan is now accepted. So is the applicant present?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations on your chairmanship. For the record, my name is Jim Petropoulos. I'm a professional engineer with IMEG Consulting Corp., 3 Congress Street, Nashua, New Hampshire. Tonight representing Morgan Road Investment, LLC. Joining me from Morgan Road is Rick and Ryan Charbonneau. Brought with me some friends tonight, Attorney Morgan Hollis. Derek Roach is our traffic consultant from Vanessa and Associates, and Mike McCune is our project architect, who also joins us from Dennis Myers, the architects. So thank you for hearing us. And it's just read into the record, we're seeking eventually 2 actions by the planning board. First and foremost, a site plan approval for a multifamily residential project in the northwest corner of Litchfield. And we're also seeking a conditional use permit from the planning board to allow mixed-use village development within this northern commercial district. My role here really tonight as the preparer of the drawings and applications and kind of quarterbacking the studies is to present the facts of the project for the site plan and conditional use criteria for you to make a decision. I will tell you right now, we're here this evening is really the first formal hearing. We're not really expecting any decision this evening because we got a little bit more work to do, and I'll get to that in my summation of what's left to do, next steps. But I think we're in good shape. I appreciate the application acceptance, so let me get started. Board members may recall over the past couple of years, we've been here in a conceptual sense prior to the 2025 town meeting vote, which approved mixed-use developments. We appeared conceptually to show you what could be. After the town meeting vote of 25, we came here in October for a pre-application discussion meeting. Our formal submittal was made on Feb 5, 2026, and as you know, the 3-3 meeting was postponed due to snow. I was very nervous this morning looking out my window at work at 8 o'clock, but it didn't last. So as of this meeting, we have received comments from the town department, from NRPC, and from Lou Karen, your consulting engineer. So let's talk about the property. The site is located at the corner of Charles Bancroft Highway and Albuquerque Ave. It's a very visible piece of property in town. And essentially, it's the land between the Charles Bancroft and Hidden Creek Golf Course. The site is located, as I mentioned, in the Northern Commercial Zoning District. And the property, as you see outlined in yellow, it measures about 25.26 acres. This property is abutted by the Charles Bancroft Highway, really to the north, Albuquerque Ave to the east. Colby Brook runs through the property. You can see the wooded area there to the south and west. And then a portion of Morgan Road touches the property in the northwest corner. Ground cover, as you can see, is mostly open. It's wooded along Colby Brook. Topography fairly flat. We've all been by it. We can see it's a fairly flat piece of property. There's a gentle rise from Charles Bancroft Highway right along the property frontage. Mostly sandy soils. Wetlands for the property, especially along Colby Brook. Wetlands have been looked at for the whole property, but along Colby Brook, we have associated wetlands, and that's been flagged and surveyed. And of course, the 50-foot no disturb buffer, 75-foot building, and 100-foot leach field are all incorporated in our drawings. Jay, if you don't mind, next plan, please. Okay, that's just a copy of the existing conditions, our topographic survey. You'll see the same elements of roads. There's a piece of Old Morgan Road that runs through the property right now. Probably one of the highlights of the property as you're traveling either northbound or southbound on Albuquerque Ave, you see the wonderful fence and tree line along the property of the site. Next one, please, Jay. Okay, so here's our master plan. And what's being proposed is to construct a mixed-use village development upon this 25-acre project. In general, the project will include a townhouse-style multifamily residential units. And then, of course, a mixed-use village development needs a retail component. So 2 commercial buildings are to be located up along the Charles Bancroft Highway. With regard to the residential piece, a total of 86 units. Your current zoning density allows for 101, so we're about 15 units short of the max allowed. And it's a townhouse-style project, very similar to Callaway Circle, similar to Rose Meadows, 6- and 8-unit townhouse buildings. We have a number of detached garages. They have been very popular in the Rose Garden and Callaway projects, so we try to incorporate as many as we could here. Not all, but a majority. And access to the resi piece is off of Albuquerque, right at the existing intersection with Morgan Road, and that's the intersection for Hidden Creek as well. So we're really going to maintain that alignment. It's going to run up to Morgan Road, but it will be gated. Thank you, Jay. In that particular location. So it really serves as life safety access. We have an internal drive that comes back into the commercial piece of the project, which is encouraged in the mixed-use village district criteria. And the commercial piece also has a small curb cut located on Albuquerque as well. The commercial use itself, as you know, the regulations require 100 square feet of commercial space per residential unit. So at 86 units, if my math's right, that's 8,600 square feet. We're proposing 18,000 square feet, so we exceed that balance of commercial space within a mixed-use project. 2 pad sites are being proposed. I'll take the first one, which is on, I guess, the south side. It's intended to be a daycare facility. It measures about 8,000 feet. There's outdoor rec space adjacent to the building and parking for about 64 parking spaces. The other building is a multi-tenanted building. The tenants are unknown right now at this time. Build it and they will come. But it's really at the corner of Albuquerque and the Charles Bancroft Highway. It is a 10,000 square foot building. And the intent is to have several commercial and retail uses inside the building. Any of those uses would be those uses allowed in the mixed-use village development table of uses. 53 parking spaces are provided for the retail. Again, access to the Charles Bancroft is a right turn in and right turn out only. We know the Charles Bancroft is DOT controlled, and so we think a right turn in and a right turn out was really what we were going to get from the DOT. There's a decel lane traveling northbound, a decel lane to get us awfully safe to make that right turn in, and then to come out of the development is an XL lane to help us get revved up before we enter the northbound lane. There's also a 2-way curb cut onto Albuquerque Ave, as I mentioned. If you read the mixed-use village regs, they really speak to sidewalks. They want integration within the development. And if you look closely at the plan, we have sidewalks throughout the project and connectivity to the retail. But Rick is also proposing sidewalk along the frontage of Albuquerque Ave. And what it is a continuation from the sidewalk that he and the Thoreau development are actually building on the east side of the Charles Bancroft. And so that connection is a nice link to have to keep extending sidewalk further to the south. That's going to sit up within the property, and it would be located within a proposed public pedestrian access easement. Okay, other project-related facts. We have a mailbox location similar to Rose Meadows, located in between the commercial and, yes, thank you, Jay, in the Resi project. That's one central location for mail delivery for the residents. Similar to Rose Meadows, the project will have 2 parking spaces per unit in front of each building. And then additionally, with the garages, you're essentially getting 3 spaces per unit. Overall, the project provides 70% open space. So it's really intended to have a large center green space in between the commercial and the resi. And then, of course, the Colby Brook area is an area you can see we kept well away from, and there's really no clearing or any disturbance within the setbacks associated with Colby Brook. With regard to utilities, of course, we've got Pennachuck Water out there, which will service the entire development. Underground, gas power, and telecommunications. Individual septic systems for each 6 and 8 unit building, and an individual septic for the 2 commercial buildings. We have several stormwater management areas throughout the project. We have favorable soils. In the southeast corner, we have an infiltration practice right there. Thank you, Jay. In the middle of the project, we have a wet pond where we're hoping to create some open water by lining it and hopefully creating a little bit of an amenity there. And then up front along Charles Bancroft Highway, we're placing our stormwater subsurface. We wanted to make sure the first thing people saw as they approached the development wasn't some big dug drainage system in front. So, and I think that comment came forward in, I think, the October 25 meeting, where that buffer along the Bancroft Highway and the parking was very important. All new lighting throughout the project, very similar to Rose Meadows. Landscaping Lighting, of course, is LED style, cut-off luminaires, no spillover into any abutting properties. The mixed-use village development, in part of the conditional use permit, requires phasing. Our testimony this evening is a three-step process to the development. We hope to begin construction in the spring, summer of '26. The first pieces will be built will be the retail pieces in the front. And so Rick and Ryan would like to get that going first, so that will be constructed. And then the project will move in a southerly direction for the resi. At 86 units, the anticipation is 1 year to essentially build the retail pieces, 1 year to build half of the 86 units, 43 units for the resi, and then the third year for the balance. So it's a 3-year phase intended for this development. A lot of it depends on market conditions, but that's the plan. A project like this requires a traffic study, as you know, and one was submitted by Vanessa and Associates. I think to save a little bit of time, I'm going to paraphrase the traffic study, but Derek is clearly here tonight, and if you have any detailed questions about the report or the testimony, we're going to call Derek up and answer any questions. But, given that Charles Bancroft Highway is under DOT control, they have a say in kind of, what happens with traffic. So whenever we do a project that's DOT access, they want to have a scoping session, and that occurred back in August of '25. Derek's report, Vanessa's report, was submitted as part of our application. And what it showed for total development upon full build-out was in the morning peak. You always measure your traffic in the morning peak, the afternoon peak, and then the total trips per day. So the morning peak was 177 new trips. The afternoon peak was 195 new trips. And then total 24-hour weekday was about 1,500 trips. A trip is leaving the unit to go out into the road, that's one trip, and then when it comes back, it's also one trip, okay? Site distance is always a concern of boards for projects like this. We take that one very seriously. We want to make sure we got our safe curb cuts. Vanessa's report has gone out and measured our site distance, and it's acceptable to AASHTO standards in all intersections. Initially, and when we appeared before you, I think it was in October, we talked about the Albuquerque Ave intersection with Charles Bancroft. And early measurements of traffic indicated that the intersection likely needed a signal currently. And so we took a look at that, and we heard your comments that evening, and we went back to Vanessa and said, well, any thoughts about improvements that could be made to attenuate that? And what they came back with was on Albuquerque as we're heading northbound, and you can very, in a small sense, Jay, see it in that lower right-hand corner. We've got a proposed improvement to Albuquerque. Yeah, thank you, Jay. That essentially widens the pavement, and it allows for a dedicated left turn onto the Charles Bancroft, and also a dedicated right turn, which currently doesn't exist today. I think people, as that intersection starts to stack up and people who want to make a left, if you want to make a right and you're behind that car, there really is no way to kind of swerve and get around them. And a lot of those moves, the majority of those moves, and Derek can correct me if I'm wrong, are making right turns to head north. And so with the advent of that proposed improvement, it eliminates the need for a for a signal at that particular intersection. So again, DOT is really kind of calling the shots on the Charles Bancroft Highway. The study is currently being reviewed by DOT, and we hope to hear an answer from them And again, Derek's here to answer any questions you might have. Let me wrap up quickly with, Jay, if you could forward some slides on the architecture. As I said, Mike McCune is here tonight. He prepared the plans. And we've got some wonderful graphics.
Gonna recalibrate a little bit.
Yeah.
You want the visuals?
That's one, yeah. That's a nice oblique aerial, like if you were in a drone above the Charles Bancroft looking back, and that the road on the right is Morgan Road, and you can see the Resi development with Colby Brook off to the right and those wooded areas. The 7 buildings, or 6 buildings located along Albuquerque Ave, you can see the fence in the graphic. That's nice work, Mike. Those units actually face Albuquerque. So we've got the front doors facing Albuquerque, and we thought that was important from a visual standpoint, as so many cars go up and down Albuquerque, to see the front rather than the back. And so we thought that was a nice touch. And Jay, if you kind of shift that over a little bit to the left, you can see the two commercial buildings. You see the daycare on the right with its outdoor play yard, and then the retail building, which is really set up for 3 tenants. You see the 3 kind of peaked entrances there, really kind of set up for 3 tenants. Okay. On the Resi, and Jay, feel free to scroll through there as I'm talking, because there's quite a few graphics about the buildings, but really the residential units are, as I mentioned, the same architecture as Rose Meadows. 6 8-unit buildings, 2 stories per unit. It's approximately 1,300 to 1,500 square feet per unit. Pitched roof, clapboard siding, 28 feet in height. You can see we kept the fence treatment along the Charles Bancroft Highway in this graphic. So, and then the sidewalk is located right behind it. The colors of the Resi buildings will be similar to Rose Meadows and Callow Circle. The commercial buildings, our theme intended was to be New England agriculture, New England theme, which is what the code looks for. But I think Mike put a wonderful kind of agricultural touch to it. And I'm probably messing up the architectural terms, but on the retail building on the left, that other raised center ridge line, is certainly brings in an agricultural kind of a barn feel to it. All the buildings have pitched roofs, combination of asphalt shingles with metal roof accents. Both buildings are 1 story. The retail building peaks out at 32 feet in height. The daycare building peaks at 28 feet. Canopied entries, fixed glass windows. Exterior materials are a combination of fiber, cement siding, and trim. And then a stone veneer down at the lower level. You get a little bit of taste for that on that particular graphic right there. Mr. Chairman, what I'd like to do now is, if I could, address the conditional use permit. Okay.
I can talk about it.
So under section 803 of your zoning ordinance, conditional use permit is required from the planning board for this form of development, a mixed-use village development in the northern commercial zone. And there's really 11 criteria points that need to be addressed by us. And they've been provided in a letter to Joan's attention. So it might take a minute, but I'll go quick. I'm going to read the 11 criteria into the record. Number 1, the requirement is the area of a site proposed for an MUVD should not be less than 5 acres. However, the site may be further subdivided into smaller residential or commercial lots. As mentioned, the Colby Farm property is a single lot, measures 25.26 acres. Permitted uses include, the permitted uses of this project are multifamily residential, general retail, daycare center, and possibly a restaurant in that particular building, all of which are allowed in section 803.00. So we comply with that regulation. Maximum density is not greater than 4 units an acre. 4 times 25 and change gets us 101 units. We're proposing 86. minimum residential units is not less than 2.5. And so the proposed density of Colby Farm is 3.4, so right in that sweet spot between 2.5 and 4.0. Not less than, point number 5, not less than 100 square feet of commercial space per resi unit shall be provided. 8,600 square feet is the minimum required. We're providing 18,035. Point 6, key natural and historic features include buildings of historic value, stone walls, agricultural fields, large trees, and other natural historic features. Our response to that item number 6 is most of the property is currently non-wooded and does not really contain any documented natural or historic features. Having said that, the area along Colby Brook will remain as is with no intrusion into the wetland or the regulated buffers. And then also the fencing and trees that were installed along Albuquerque Ave will remain in place. There's been no disturbance of that as a result of our project. Point 7, not less than 20% of the site area will be dedicated to internal open green space. Jay and I probably need a discussion about the term dedicated, but if you go back to our site plan, we have 70% open space everywhere, and 17.68 acres are currently open. So we think we comply, but we probably need a little discussion with Jay just to make sure you feel good about that. Point 8, a fiscal impact study shall be provided demonstrating to the satisfaction of the planning board that the MUVD would have a net positive impact on the town for every phase of development. Fiscal impact report is being prepared. I think the preparer had meetings today with fire and police, and it will be submitted as soon as it's ready, and I suspect that our next hearing will dive into that a little bit and provide you with the results. Point 9, building design and landscaping must be compatible with the character of the area. It's our development team's opinion that the proposed building design and complementary landscaping will be consistent with the character of Litchfield and with the surrounding uses of the area. We have single-family homes across the street. We have Hidden Creek behind us. We are in a commercial district of zoning, and I think Mike's done a wonderful job, if you look at the graphics, in preparing the architectural feel for the project. Point number 10, a timing and phasing plan for both the commercial and resident portions of the development shall be submitted for approval. As I just mentioned, we're looking at a 3-year build-out. And Jay, I can add that phasing data and information into the plan set for the next meeting. I'd be happy to do that. And then lastly, safe pedestrian access, including sidewalks, crosswalks, must be provided throughout the project. And really, I think we as a team have done a good job with that. Safe pedestrian access is provided throughout. There's connectivity to the commercial uses in the front, and then, of course, the sidewalk along the Charles Bancroft Highway. On the east side, we think is a wonderful addition to the project. So in summary, thank you for listening. Completes our presentation. We do believe the project complies with the MUVD regulations. There is still a little work left for us. I mentioned the fiscal review. I also would like to say that we have received most peer review comments. Jay has weighed in, Lou has weighed in. I think the comments are quite reasonable. And we should be able to address them in advance of next meeting. Jay did bring up a couple points about potential waivers, and I'm happy to discuss those with you and talk to you about them. So you may have a couple waivers to deal with at the next meeting. So with that, I'll be happy to answer questions, and then I would like to call up my teammates if there's something there that I don't feel comfortable answering. So thank you.
Thank you. So before we move on, we should probably vote for whether this application has any regional impact. So it's large, but it's not right next to the adjoining towns. So it's just mainly the vehicle traffic.
But it's in the corridor. It's in the 3A corridor. Do we have to worry? You're close enough to Manchester, you're in the 3A corridor, so.
It's a judgment call.
Yeah.
There's no hard and fast, it's not on the border, or it would be pretty clear.
Sure.
Yeah.
Um, So it's,
Okay.
Yeah.
Your call.
Yeah, I would anticipate that the majority of the traffic will be internal traffic rather than people driving from outside of Litchfield, but it obviously would be very nice from a business perspective if some of it was traffic coming into Litchfield. Does anyone have any strong opinion, or anyone feel like we should deem this regional impact? Okay, so looks like the will of the board is to not make this categorize this as regional impact. Should we vote on this, or should we just?
I don't think you need to unless you want to vote. I think if there's a consensus of the board, I think that's fine.
Okay, so not regional impact. Okay. So, Jay, do you have any comments on the project?
I think actually Mr. Petropoulos touched on them. There are certainly a few issues that I raised. The dedicated, open space was one, and just ensuring that there are some sort of amenities that are also provided within the plan. Our regulations do speak to those. Obviously, traffic is something the board's going to want to think about and weigh. Overall, I mean, the plan, is very consistent with the ordinance and the regulations as we contemplated them. The connectivity internally is really strong. As we've heard, the density is less than what's, the maximum required, more than the minimum, and the commercial space exceeds the minimum. The use balance is, I think, there. There's some other details, I think, that need to be added, including, landscaping detail along Albuquerque. That's something that has been mentioned as important. We do have an internal street tree requirement that should be provided on the plan. So there are definitely some additional elements that should be addressed. There's more that needs to be reviewed, but overall, I think the plan is, very consistent with the goals of the mixed-use village district.
Okay, thank you. Lou, do you have any relevant or important comments regarding the plan at this
Regarding
moment?
acceptance?
Well, we've accepted it already. So
Okay.
regarding the next,
Most of the comments I have are very minor. With the drainage system, I was very impressed. That's basically a lot of my biggest focus. The only thing I noticed as I was looking at the site plan, behind the retail commercial, it's a one-way heading north. So if somebody wants to get to the mailbox, if they're coming in off of 3A, and they make a right turn into the site at that first entrance, they have to drive in front of the retail buildings to get to the mailbox. It's a lot of traffic you're introducing in front of the retail. I don't know if that's good or bad. Probably more bad than good, but especially if they're all coming in around dinner time or something after work. That was the only thing that I looked at, and I wasn't clearly too happy about it, but not a deal killer.
okay, thank you. Do any members of the board have any comments or questions they'd like to discuss at this moment?
I have a couple questions, actually, to your point. The mailboxes, Jay, if you could point out where those, okay, right there, right? If you go to the left with your cursor beyond the other side of that building, you see an alcove with something. What is that, actually?
Dumpster, a gated enclosed dumpster.
Okay, so there are a few of those around as well?
There are.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
very
probably wouldn't
important
want
for
the
projects
dumpster
like
over
this,
there.
believe it or
Yeah,
not.
yeah, I don't think you'd want the dumpster down on the end either, so. Interesting. Is there any reason why you, at the top of this illustration, where, yeah, right in there, right where you're pointing, is there any reason why it can't be over there? Where it sort of dead ends anyway? Goes up to the point at which Morgan Road is gated and only available for fire, for fire people to
For the mailbox?
pass? Yeah.
Geez, we thought it was more convenient there.
It's just a question. I'm not asking you to make a decision tonight. It was just
Yeah,
a-
I mean, we'll
since you
look
brought it
at,
up.
we'll look at the mailbox location, sure. Like, we were very fortunate at Rose Meadows to have it down near the entry so everybody could kind of, and it was off to the side.
Yeah.
This one wasn't as easy. To Lou's comment, he brings up a good point. We come in off Albuquerque and you have to go around the front, but what we're trying to do there is budget space for possibly a drive-through, if we got such a tenant. And so that generally becomes a one-way to the north, okay? And I believe drive-throughs are by zoning, there's some zoning relief needed, I believe, by the code. But that's kind of the placeholder we put there. So there'd be conflicting moves there. But we'll take a closer look at it.
Yeah, I see pros and cons to that
Yeah.
mailbox location, but yeah, the other end would probably be a dead end, so I'm not sure I would want it at the dead end. Does the board have any other questions or comments they'd like to discuss before we open it up to public comment?
Yeah, briefly, I know Jay, you also flagged it, but there's a lot of green space, but if maybe we could just see some kind of uses, some picnic tables, some kind of, in future iterations of the plan, kind of where community gathering spaces might be, where these kind of spaces for residents to hang out would be, I think would be helpful for us to kind of envision this as a space for the town.
Correct.
Yeah, the question I have is, did you do anything for the garage bays to help with the long facades without any windows or anything?
In the garages?
Yeah.
No, the garages, I think we submitted architecturals on the garages. They're quite consistent with pitched roofs and exterior materials. But we didn't put windows on them because they're really a big maintenance issue. And I don't think the length, is only about 78 feet. It's not as wide as the building itself that it's supporting. I don't really think it needs to be broken up because when you actually see them at like Rose Meadows, they don't. It's not like looking down a big industrial logistics warehouse building, we got that long straight run. So we can talk about it with Mike, between now and the next meeting. But those buildings are more utilitarian. They're very popular. And I think they complement the other buildings pretty well. So, but we'll take a look at it.
Jay, do you know of any regulations that they might need to that might need to be taken into account for the garage bays?
It's arguable, but in the site plan regs, we do talk about facades of over 50 feet in length that aren't broken up or somehow articulate.
Okay. So, based on that, if you could look into
We will.
some
Thank you. Yep.
possibilities. Thank you. And is it the area, like in the visual, near the end of the sidewalk that we see end in
Yeah.
the bottom right?
Yeah.
The area to the left of that is a stormwater management
It is, yeah,
area.
yeah.
And is it, because of that, not possible to connect that sidewalk?
So Rick and I are having a little tug of war with what we do there. I got pedestrians kind of hopping on the piece of Morgan Road so that we don't have to kind of cut trees there. And Rick is saying, well, we can make something work. So we'll take a look at that sidewalk connection. But the intent is that does get connected into the parking so that a resident, if we did put something out front, a resident wanted to walk over, and Jay, if you do scroll give me a little bit more of the left. Travis brought up a good point about community spaces. I wanted to point out, now, if you move the whole drawing over a little bit, I want to see that left side, yeah. You can barely catch it on this one, but others, we've got the outdoor patio on the north end of the other building. Maybe another drawing, Jay.
You might have another one with that on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go, right there, good. So we've got something budgeted right there. We don't know what it is yet, but it's part of the building. You're saying, let's do something like that, part of the site. Good point.
Looking at this view and thinking about the retail establishments that'll be in place, what's the provision for signage for those businesses? What's the plan to have some proper advertising so we know there are businesses in there and what they are?
We've put a placeholder at the driveway cut to the Charles Bancroft Highway for what we call a ground sign or a monument sign. It's likely also going to have spaces in, Mike, would they be in the peaks of the entries possibly, or up against the building maybe on a building sign?
Perhaps, or there is a little bit of space on the facade that's allocated for modest signage, depending on how the retail building gets taken up by town.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Were any alternative options than the single right turn only exit and entrance? Were any other options considered, like including more, like greater changes to the Charles Bancroft Highway, like for example, a roundabout or something in the area to allow the traffic to not have to turn onto Albuquerque?
You know, it's a little challenging piece of road frontage across the front. We're in a super elevated curve for one thing, and then if I'm not mistaken, I think we're also in a taper there. So I think what you're trying to say is, should we introduce a left turn pocket traveling south into the development?
That or a roundabout there, if you could get permission.
Roundabout, I don't, such a dirty word. And now I like roundabouts.
It'll certainly slow the traffic, so.
Yeah.
You know, in the scoping session, you know, with DOT, we always try to feel them out. Hey, you know, what can we do? I don't think they would allow us to do a full left turn there because of the taper and because of the super elevation and everything that's going on there. So that's why we opted for this particular layout.
Yeah, because another option would be like at the intersection of Morgan Road, Colby Road, and Charles Bancroft Highway. Theoretically, I'm not sure if the elevation would allow it, but if you could put a roundabout there and then have that be a major entrance into the development, that could be a safer option that reduces traffic on Albuquerque.
Well, we'll take that under advisement. I'm not too optimistic that the state will work with us, but we'll get a response for you.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask, when are you expecting the DOT report?
Derek, help me out.
Pretty soon?
Sorry.
Yes, for the record, Derek Roach with Vanasson Associates. I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head what day we submitted. Do you remember? But depending on when we submitted, which I think was last month, or maybe earlier now it's April. So yeah, last month, sometime in March. They take things in the order they get them. So it's been typically about a month till we get comments back on things. So I would expect comments within the next couple weeks. But that is the first step to multiple rounds of back and forth with them on things. So I wouldn't expect a permit within, the next month. I would expect, just comments, but we'd get a permit 3, 4, or 5 months down the road.
Can we get the reiterations as they come in? Because I'd be curious to
Yeah.
know their
So
comments.
we'll reach out to them in advance of our next meeting, and we'll let them know that, you find folks are interested in their thoughts. We'll convey to them some of the comments you just brought up moments ago, and we'll see if we get a response from them. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily looking to complicate things. I'm just always curious to understand from their viewpoint, their opinion on site distance. I mean, you have a lot of experience in that, so I certainly appreciate your professional experience there. DOT sometimes has other things in mind, whether it be on the site distance. I'd be really curious on the widening on that, because a lot of times when I come up from Albuquerque and I'm going left on Charles Bancroft, I sit there and I'm like, oh, why did I do this? It's going to take me forever to go left, and you wait and you wait and you wait. And I don't know if it's so much a concern that you have the additional width. I mean, don't get me wrong, it can't hurt. But I don't know if it's going to alleviate the problem, I guess. So I'd be curious to just know their thoughts, that's all.
I'd like to be clear, the proposed improvement is nice, it alleviates things, but it's still going to be a busy intersection, okay?
Of course.
So I don't want to
Of course.
have you misinterpret that, man, they're going to solve that intersection. No, I think we're going to improve it, and hopefully such that there doesn't need to be a signal there. Now, I've known Rick for 40 years, and if he's got a project that creates an impact, he'll stand up for it and do it. But, we kind of heard and saw some concern about wanting to put a signal there in that location. And, Rick is sensitive to that. He lives in this town. And so we hope not to have to do that. Not to save money or not to do anything, it's just that, because I don't think the town really wants a signal there.
If I may, Jim, on the signal.
Yeah.
The introduction of the right turn lane on Albuquerque Road, the way signal warrants are assessed, because you have that right turn lane and the fact that of the volume on that approach, you have like hundreds in the right turn lane and only tens in the left. That right turn volume is considered to be able to get out onto the highway without the need of the signal, because they have their own lane, and therefore that volume doesn't get counted towards the warrant. And so because of the right turn lane, a signal is not warranted, and DOT would not support putting one in at that stage.
Thank you. Thank you, Derek.
Okay. Any more comments or questions before we open up to public comment?
I'll reserve mine until after I hear from the public.
Okay. Okay, would any members of the public wish to come up and comment on the application? Okay, come on up and state your name and address for the record.
Okay, because I don't think there's any way for me to go.
No, you're fine. I'm not mean. I'm angry, but I'm not mean. My name is Amy Bagonis. My husband and I live at 20 Roberts Road, and we are the lucky owners of the property that this is going to be our backyard. So we have the lot, which is, help me here. So map 21, lot 10 through 5. So this is going to affect everything for us. This is literally our backyard. This is not why I bought this house. This is not anything I ever envisioned. So my retirement years, this is what I get able to look forward to. You're talking about 3 years of construction. I mean, we bought the property and it took 18 months. Now, this is back in 2007, but it took us 18 months to find a place because it had to be the perfect place. And this was it. What's going to happen to the deer, to the fox, to the mallard, everything that we get to see all the time in our backyard? We have Colby Brook as part of our backyard. Now you're going to put apartments in retail and maybe a drive-through? No. A roundabout? We're growing out of Litchfield. We're becoming a Hudson 2.0. We pay a lot in taxes. We love it here. This sounds horrible. I can't honestly think of anything that sounds great. And what really bothered me is that fence that you show in the back. That's what's going to separate all of that from my property, from our property, and my neighbors. Same thing. The ones on the corner, I mean, they're going to deal with it too. It just, again, this is not why I wanted to retire here. I moved here in 1994. This is not my envisionment of my retirement, my golden ages. This sounds terrible. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Comments? Would anyone else like to come up and come on up and state your name and address for the record?
Hi, Bob McLaughlin, Chatfield Drive, excuse me, right around the corner. Coming late to the game, so I have more questions than I have comments on this. My first question, if someone can answer me, does Continental Paving, will they still use the driveway that they use to their plant out back by Hidden Creek that dumps on in Albuquerque?
So technically speaking, it's discouraged to make this a question and answer thing, but you can ask your questions and the applicant can decide to answer them.
Excuse me, because unfortunately I've been here since '93, but unfortunately this is my first meeting I've ever.
Yeah, so we have to be careful not to make it like a Q&A between you and the applicant, because this is basically just public comment, not public questions.
If you ask the chair, I can respond and try to answer your question.
If I ask the chairman?
When everybody is done through in the public speaking, I'm trying to take good notes. I will try to respond to each comment.
Okay.
Yep.
So if I have concerns about light pollution from this, I would then talk to him off record?
No, yeah, it's public comment, and then after you're done with your comments, that we can try to address them in the meeting.
Okay. So can I ask, are there going to be light poles in these parking lots?
Yeah, there's a light on the building, so.
If you drove through Rose Meadow.
Yep.
And look at the lighting in there.
Yep.
That doesn't have.
All right, cool.
Yeah, the plan has a page that shows where the lighting is, where it is, and how bright it is at each
And I
level.
believe it's all downcast lighting, correct?
I didn't do my homework and look at the
supposed to be,
blueprint
yeah.
or find
Yeah,
the
it's supposed
blueprint before I came in. Can I ask why Morgan Road is gated?
Yeah, you can ask, but yeah, we don't have the answer.
It's gated, because we don't want to use it as an access point. That's all. No other reason.
Don't want to use it, okay. So we don't want the people from like Romano's in that area or coming off of 3A to go down Morgan Road to get into this development. We want them to go through the congested intersection of Albuquerque and Charles Bancroft.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind is the intersection of Colby Road and Charles Bancroft Highway is not a great intersection, so I'm assuming the applicant
Yeah, I
doesn't.
live right around the corner, and I walk this field every day with my dog, so I do know the property. We all do know that people are creatures of habit, so when they're leaving this property in the morning, if you're gonna go south, they're just gonna go through that Roberts Road and right past those people, or they're gonna go all the way down to Hillcrest, hang a right, and get onto 3A that way. So that's where the majority of the traffic is gonna end up going, because we're all creatures of habit. We're gonna look at Google Maps, we're gonna look at Waze or whatever it is.
and we're going to find the easiest way out, whoever's renting there. So that's going to affect the overall traffic, and I do agree that sticking something extra at the corner of Albuquerque and 3A is the best, putting a turn road to the right. That's just common sense. That'll work. Coming into it, I don't know what you're going to do there. But I don't know where I was going with that, but we all know that everybody there is either going to go through my neighborhood, my street, or go down the end of Albuquerque, hang a right, and then go down to 3A to get south, or cut through that way. But that's what Albuquerque was put in for, so that everybody can go south. I guess my only concerns is that the trees do remain around Colby Creek, because that'll be the buffer from my neighborhood, which is no big deal, but something I would like to see. Light pollution is something that's got to be taken into consideration. I know you guys put a lot of thought and comments into mailboxes, but I don't believe that they're ever going to put a roundabout on 3A or a traffic light. We all know that'll never, ever happen. What else do I have to say? We should pay attention a little bit earlier, but it's somebody's property, you can do what you want with it. You know, I don't want somebody coming into my backyard telling me what I can do and cannot do with my piece of property. But overall aspects, I just gotta say, you gotta just take into consideration the traffic in and off of Albuquerque, light pollution for the local neighborhood, and just be considerate that everybody else who's gonna be heading south is not gonna go to Albuquerque. They're gonna go south to Hillcrest or just straight down Albuquerque to the other end of town. Now, I can talk to you afterwards about details, sir.
I'm going to respond to the chair when he gives me a minute, but I'll be happy to talk to you outside, absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other? Okay, state your name and address for the record.
Yep. My name is Brendan Flynn. I live at 18 Roberts Road, which would be a direct abutter. I guess my only comment would be, I don't know if I saw it on the plans or not, whether or not there's going to be in consideration for maybe a fence along the edge of the property where the brook is. I know obviously there's I don't know how wide it is, but a good chunk of tree coverage there. My only concern would be some sort of solid fencing to help with sound pollution that would go across, because in the wintertime, I can see directly across to the field. Obviously in the summertime with all the tree coverage, can't really notice, but I would like to possibly see, a solid fencing for either two parts. Sound pollution, and also somewhat of a deterrent for people going down into the brook, not to what that gentleman just said. I mean, whatever, I can't control what people do, on their own property or whatnot, but I know since living there, we moved there in 2018, we've got a considerable amount of people that go to the country store, buy a bunch of stuff, mostly kids, but with their bikes, eat whatever they're doing, do whatever they're doing, they leave their trash, or spray paint, with a lot of spray painting on trees and stuff. So I just, a consideration, obviously a fence isn't gonna, if somebody wants to get down there, they're gonna go down there, but just something to consider. Other than that, I guess, and I know you had spoke earlier about setbacks to wetlands. So obviously it's wetlands down there, so I don't know. Essentially, the direct backyard of my house would be that building without.
Jay, can you go to the aerial, excuse me?
I think it's the
In
one
the front.
without a.
So I can see where the gentleman's house is.
Yeah, sorry, I should have brought it.
Now, the
If
first
you
one on the,
Go, where are we?
he's going to call up this plan.
All
We'll get
right,
it
all
up.
right.
Thank you, Jay.
It's that one kind of right in the middle, the one that goes perpendicular. Yeah, that
That's
one
you?
right there.
Okay.
So I just know, basically a straight shot, I think, is that one building without the carport behind it. I just
Yes.
don't know what the distance between that building and like the edge of the woods would be. Because you did mention you're not taking any basically trees down.
That's correct.
along the front, So.
Yeah, that's correct, so. I'll respond.
All right, all right, all right.
Thank
no
you.
problem. Yeah, other than that, I mean, that's it. It looks, I don't know. Looks fine.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have we watched this as a planning board?
Not yet.
When would that be?
We'd have to ask the applicant for a time that would work and vote as a board. We can definitely consider doing that today. Any other members of the public that wish to comment on the application? I'm seeing one. Set your name and address for the record.
My name's Kyla Luquette. I live at 494 CBH, one of those lucky few that are going to be right across the street from this. So you've talked a lot about, or we recently have talked a lot about the impact on neighbors on the backside. I know we've mentioned light pollution, noise pollution. This is going to be right out my front window now. I mean, when I look out the window, that's what I'm going to see. And you know, we mentioned drive-throughs and restaurants. I'm just concerned about that impact for, I know we're only a few people, but we lucky few that live on CBH. If there's any consideration, provision to keep that noise and impact down, because we are right on that road. And then we've talked about it, but I just want to echo it. Traffic on CBH is not fun. That curve, living right there, that is a dangerous curve. We have accidents there. I actually put in a swinging mailbox so that I don't have to walk out to my mailbox. So I am concerned about how many more cars we're putting on this road. Yeah, speeds, all that. That's what I got.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other members of the public that wish to comment? Seeing one, please
Hi.
state your name and address for the record.
I'm Linda Jacobson. I own the property at 502 Charles Bancroft Highway and 496 Charles Bancroft Highway. I'm not really bothered by the fact they're developing this. My only concern was the road also. And I was wondering, so I know I'm not supposed to ask questions, but DigSafe was at my office, and they've been marking everything on my side of the street and said they were widening 3A. I didn't know if that had anything to do with this project and what that was going to, how that was going to, what those changes might be, if anyone knew in the development.
Yeah.
That's for because of the gas station.
Up further north, yes.
So they're going to widen down to me?
No.
They just went beyond.
Oh, okay. That was I was concerned. And then my only other concern is being able to get in and out of my properties. I don't really have any trouble now. I know that 496, because of the curve, like she just said, is a problem, which has nothing to do with your development. But I'm wondering if there's an issue with light. Years ago, when I bought 502, there was a problem with the people that lived in the house were upset about the headlights coming down Albuquerque. And the town put in arborvitaes in the front of the yard where I am now. I took them all down because that was not a problem for me because I wanted my business to be seen. But I'm concerned that maybe at 496, if there's something like that that might need to be able to be done to block some of if there's a problem with headlights or things coming out of that property. And I don't know if there will be, but I just wanted it to be known that I might like to think of some kind of protection for that. It might help 494 also. She may be more directly across from it, I'm not sure. But I just don't want the headlights to bother the people that live in that property. And then I just want to make sure that I can get in and out of my office without any problems. So those are my only concerns.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wish to comment on this?
Carrie Douglas, 9 Pheasant Street. I actually live on the opposite end of town, but I do take this intersection multiple times a week. So I had some notes that I had taken, so there were more as I was thinking of them, so I'll try to keep them in order. 258 cars, 195 in the afternoon. That's when I drive it, so not excited. I think it's intriguing that we are indicating an improvement that basically already exists. If you drive that road, it already segregates into a right-hand turn and a left-hand turn. By making it dedicated is not improving anything. It's just codifying what is already being done. So it's not an improvement. Next, you're going to have people taking the left into oncoming right-hand traffic. How is those poor people out there trying to take a left without a light? They'll be there all day. So with an additional number of cars that can only take a right-hand turn out of that development, that's going to be a disaster for anybody trying to take a left-hand turn. Especially since, let's face it, we're New Englanders, about half of us signal. So who's going to know if you're actually taking the right-hand turn or going straight? What about, this is for the planning board, is there a master plan for the traffic in this area? From what I understand, there's discussions about a potential development behind St. Francis. We have all the development at the horse farm, a gas station. Now we're talking this. What is the plan for this area? As we build it out, this is not going to work. So how are we going to fit in a master plan to address the additional growth that is clearly in the works? So before you even get to this, you should figure out how are you going to handle all the additional traffic from all of the properties that you're looking to develop. Because it can't be just on one developer. The last guy standing shouldn't be the one holding the bag. It should be a venture that you have to look at as you go forward. Instead of trying to piecemeal it, make it cohesive, come up with a plan first. Second, what was my other one? Yeah, the intersection there is going to be a disaster. Let's see. For the planning board, when the development was going in at BAE, my understanding is we had 2.5 units per acre. How did we get to 4? Why was this not, if this was part of the ordinance that just passed, that should have been highlighted. Because I highly doubt it would have passed if people knew we were increasing from 2.5 to 4. This is a town that values land. When I moved in, the minimum was 1 acre. We have the one on Albuquerque, the housing that's 1.5 per acre for the joint houses. BAA was apparently 2.5. How did we get to 4? That it should not have been allowed. So, and at least where I grew up, you couldn't include your driveways, your roads, your wetlands in your calculations. So 4 times however many acres overstates how much you should be able to build on that lot. You should also have to remove the commercial properties. Those shouldn't count towards your buildable lot for residential. So saying 86 is less than 100 is great, but 100 is inflated. This density is too high for that area. The traffic's going to be too much. And quite frankly, the community benefit that is shown there is too little. A picnic table under an awning? Come on. So I understand that they own the property. They have the right to do with what they want. I get that, but it also affects other people in this town. Traffic's going to get worse. Taxes are going to go up. Actually, that's another thing I had for the planning board. It is one thing to have impact fees on a house that's added to an existing road. It's minimal. We're putting in a new development. Odds are the roads are going to eventually be turned over to the town. No? Are not Calawa and all the other ones turned over? Okay, good. So we're not going to be responsible for plowing. We're not going to be responsible for internal sidewalks. We're not going to be responsible for any of that. But we will be responsible for added use for other things in town. So when I look at the tax per unit on some of the other of these developments, do they really cover their cost? Or is everybody else's taxes going up as a result to provide these services? It should be demonstrated to be cost neutral. Whatever they're doing here should make sure that it covers the added cost and burden to the rest of the town, because it's not what we've been seeing so far. Additionally, again, I don't live here in that area, and I feel bad for those who do. Restaurants, what are the hours going to be? Are these people going to have to deal with drunken people at 1 o'clock at night? How is that fair? These ordinance, this wasn't allowed to be built when they bought their properties. So we've changed the deal that they bought into. There needs to be consideration for the people who are affected by this and the changes that were made. And I would say that perhaps that the ordinance that was put forward in March was not adequately explained to the people. Because if we increased our density, if we increased the impact to these people without being open about what the true impact was going to be, that wasn't fair. That wasn't fair. So, again, they can do what they want, whatever you allow, but there should be some changes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gary.
Any other, okay.
I'm Reggie Morrow. I'm also a resident in town, but I'm also a developer.
And your
Just-
address?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick comment that I'm the developer that's looking at the property on the other side of Charles Bancroft Highway. And we're in the process of going through all of the work that we need to do in order to prove our concept as well. And one of those things that we're doing is the traffic study as it relates to St. Francis and, of course, how that will affect Albuquerque as well. And not Albuquerque, but all of that area as well. We expect to have that work done relatively soon. It's been being worked on. I had some conversations today about it, but nothing I can share at this point in time. But anything that we do there will also go up to the state as part of the review package. But I just noticed that when the initial traffic study was done for the project that's in front of us, that there was nothing that was taken into consideration with St. Francis. So I wanted to make sure we fill that void as well. So all of that's being worked on, so you'll have that information relatively shortly as well. It'll probably be in front of my project, but we'll at least share that with everybody. I don't anticipate that there's going to be any major changes or, as a respect to what we're already discussing here today based on the preliminary information. But we want to run it by the state as well and just have it looked at as well. But like I said, I don't anticipate, based upon what we're seeing, that there's going to be anything drastic as far as any changes there. But I just wanted to share that information with you, just so that you have that. So it is being considered.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments on the application? Okay, seeing none, so that will be the end of public comment for this application. So I would like to give the applicant a chance to respond to those comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I go to a lot of planning board meetings, and I try to do my best to take notes, so I apologize in advance if I missed anything. When comments are brought forth, sometimes they're easy comments that we can address, and sometimes people are expressing their feelings, and their feelings aren't right or wrong. They're their feelings. I can't really respond to how somebody feels about a project. So I'll try to do my best. First speaker, Ms. Laganos, I think she's at the corner of Roberts there. No, down, Jay, a little bit. Right there, that house. Come down a little bit. No, the house, just come down a little. Boom.
Oh, this one?
Yeah, sorry. Am I right, Ms. Laganos? Is that your home?
She left, but you were right, I live around.
Yeah, they're right on the corner.
she left?
Yeah.
And I have no response. She's concerned about her backyard. I would guess that the closest unit to her house itself is probably 600 feet. I'll verify that for the next hearing. I'll get an exact scale dimension for that. Same with the other gentleman on Roberts.
Do you know if any of the trees are going to be removed or if they're all within the buffer?
Yeah, they're all within the buffer. Everything you see there will stay, yeah. So that's the good news. She spoke about her quality of life, her kind of rural character. Again, she's quite a distance away, and I think having that buffer there is a good thing to have. Mr. McLaughlin on Chatfield had a number of comments. He spoke to Continental's Drive. They currently use Morgan Road, and they will continue to use Morgan Road. However, Rick and I have appeared before this planning board with a vision of other properties that Rick owns north of this plan. And I think it's his hope someday to maybe take some of that truck traffic in a different direction, but that's for a future project. But currently, that won't change right now. He spoke about light pollution. Similar to Rose Meadows, we've kind of taken a minimalistic view of lighting, and by that I mean lower poles, downcast lighting. The problem with site lighting is when you can see the source, when you can see the glare, that becomes really objectionable to people. And what a cutoff luminaire does is it takes that bulb and it sets it up and in, so you really can't look up unless you're directly underneath the lens, okay? And so that's the type of lighting that will be used throughout the resi portion. As Rick said, the retail portion will contain building-mounted lighting, which is good. I do think there's a couple poles in the parking. We have to make sure we have safe passage of pedestrians. There are minimum levels of illumination that are needed. But again, it's lower poles and it's protecting the source and trying to minimize glare. Talked about gating Morgan Road. Why not use it? Your answer was correct, Mr. Chairman. That is such a funky intersection with the Charles Bancroft Highway. We would never consider adding traffic to that particular intersection. So he did have traffic concerns, and of course, keeping the trees, which my testimony is between us and his house. Same with Mr. Flynn. That's a pretty good distance. I think from tree line to our closest unit is about 100 feet to the trees. So I'll have an exact distance to those homes at my next presentation. With regard to a solid wall fence, we'll take it under advisement and let us respond to that at the next hearing, but I think my initial reaction is it would probably deter from our tenants' views looking back at that wonderful area where we have an open field in the woods, so to put a solid fence there is something we'll think about and get back to. On Charles Bancroft Highway expressed concerns about noise impact visuals. As Jay mentioned earlier, that front of the retail portion of the project is something that we probably want to spend a little bit more time on with regard to landscaping and grades and visuals there. As I mentioned early on, there is kind of a grade up there. That grade will actually get cut down a little bit to take the kind of curse off that, so I think it'll be more of a blended grading up and into the development. Ms. Jacobson, again, same thing, Charles Bancroft Highway traffic. Getting in and out of her driveway, sure, that's important. Headlights coming out of our driveway, I don't think, I'll look and see how that aligns up. I don't think it would adversely affect. We've got a kind of a downward grade, so I think our headlights are kind of pointing a little bit downward there, so. And then the woman who just spoke passionately, I did not catch her name. Most of her questions were to you, Mr. Chair, relative to zoning and things. I will tell her that a fiscal impact study, as stated earlier, is pending. It will be submitted. It'll be available to the public probably within the next week or so. And certainly available for the next meeting. And I didn't think Mr. Moreau's comments really warranted a response from us. So those were my notes. Some I answered, some I really didn't, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do you see any possible ways of coordinating between your development and the potential other development that would make sense, or not?
I haven't really seen their plan. I'd be happy to take a peek at it.
Yeah, because that lot has access from St. Francis Way,
right.
And it's map 22 lot 96. It's that small strip of land that you can see right there. Yeah, and I don't know how they're planning on using it, but those are the potential access points for that lot. Okay. And yeah, I have been a pedestrian along Albuquerque in the past during the morning times when the sand and gravel is very active, and I do hope that the diversion of traffic away from Albuquerque happens in a timely manner, because those are very loud vehicles, and it would probably not be a great thing for the potential residents of this development. But that would be an off-site thing, obviously. Does anyone else have any questions or comments for the applicant? Okay,
I have a few questions.
go ahead.
Okay. A whole bunch of notes here. A lot of people touched on a lot of things they had comments on. There was one thing that, and this is probably less for the applicant and more for you, Jay. I know I keep bringing this up, but I'm going to keep doing it. School impact. I get that that's not maybe part of the procedure here. I get that families might not live there, but I got news for you. They will. It will affect the schools. So is this anything that we want to ask them to consider with 86 units coming online?
I would have to think it's going to be included in the fiscal impact analysis.
Okay.
So we will see estimated numbers and estimated impacts.
Okay. So back to you, Jim.
That's generally part of a fiscal, yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because I know I've asked this in the past, and you know, I understand and appreciate their apartments, but I've lived in towns where families of 4 and 5 have crammed into 2-bedroom apartments, and it impacts the schools. So, you know, I have to ask the question. You mentioned, I think it was Lou, right? You mentioned the drainage. Yeah, when I looked at your plan, I really liked the drainage. I hardly ever see that meticulous level, and I know I'm nerding out here right now, but when I look at the drawings, it was really nicely done on a not a terribly challenging parcel, but there were some areas with wet that you needed to make sure you navigate around. So I liked how you navigated that there. That was good. To the public, I'm really pleased how many people came out tonight to tell us their thoughts and opinions, because it's always good. And I know it's hard sometimes to sit at that side of the desk and speak up. So I thank you all for doing that. One thing I wanted to ask, since I'm relatively new in town in the last 6 years, Jay, prior to us getting a conditional use permit for the mixed-use village district overlay in this area, remind me what zone this was prior to that, or what was allowed in this zone prior to that.
This is the northern commercial zone.
Yes.
So in this portion of the northern commercial zone, just the commercial uses that are allowed in the, in the underlying district.
What examples would those be?
General retail-related uses, restaurant-related uses.
Self-storage facilities.
Yes.
And that
This was slated to be that at one
has been
time.
like that, zoned in town, in the north end of town, for how long?
As long as I can remember.
Okay.
Many, many years, decades.
Okay. So I remember this when I came to town and we started having these discussions about the mixed-use village. You know, I always say to people, be careful what you wish for, right? Because the zoning allows certain permitted uses that you may or may not want. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to see a big box sitting on a property like this, even though that might be his right to do that, because the zoning allows it. I would prefer to see something, what we're looking at now, okay, with all its complications. You know, traffic, of course, you always have to consider traffic. That's why they have traffic studies. Fiscal impact studies. Question about the school, how it's going to impact the schools, all those things. That's why we have those things. But I would just remind people that we had numerous discussions leading up to the mixed-use village district, public hearings. In fact, we probably stretched that out for about a year and a half, if I recall correctly, so that we could get adequate feedback from the public. Specific to the plan itself, I know a lot of people talk about, I know I'm jumping around a lot, so forgive me. People talked about trees, internal trees, and I know this is getting into the weeds, but I'm going to say it anyway. I like to see some color. So if you could throw in some lilacs or something like isn't the state flower of New Hampshire the lilac? Yeah. Add a little color over there instead of us just seeing trees everywhere. Trees are nice, but they also create leaves. So I would like to see a little color. That's just my silliness for the evening, but.
So, Rick Charbonneau, so going back in history, nothing to do with our application right now, but just so people know what could be there. Back in '92, when we got Hidden Creek approved, we had a 65,000 square foot office building approved.
Yeah.
And 60,000 square feet, I think, of mini storage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't build a mini storage. I live in town and I just didn't want it. And after it was all approved, I didn't think it was the place to put an office building, though that's what was approved there. So we never built it. And that's why the land stayed vacant as long as it has, because I was waiting for something that I thought fit the town better. And that's why we're going with what we're going with. So,
Yeah.
whatever that's worth.
Yep, thank you.
And I would encourage all of the town folks at home, again, maybe I'm the only one who does this kind of thing. I spend my spare time reading planning board minutes, but you can go back and look through our archives in the planning board minutes, and there are public hearings and minutes from both the mixed-use village district, but also for this project. Mr. Charbonneau and his team have come before this board at least 3 or 4 times. With conceptual drawings, and the back and forth was fairly lengthy with questions and concerns. So I would encourage anyone and everyone to go online and take a look at those if you haven't participated or looked at those before. You know, we've had extensive discussions with the applicant and continue to do so. But all that's out there, so I would encourage you to look at it.
Yeah, and for some extra context on the mixed-use village development, it was always a balance of meeting the economic development goals of the residents, because there's a lot that, based on all the surveys, there's a strong, a lot of residents want economic development to happen, but also keeping the character of the town. And it's hard to balance that because the best forms of economic development in terms of our taxes are the least desirable. Regarding the density, the goal with that was to increase the amount of customers available to the commercial part of it, because it's no secret that the northern part of town's commercial success has not been the most successful, and part of it's the lack of customers. And by having more customers within walking distance, it does create demand for those commercial spaces, which is good for economic development. And one of the important requirements is the physical impact study and the phasing plan to make sure that the development is not done in such an order that it ends up not being a fiscal benefit to the town. And so a lot of those requirements, we will be getting that information from the applicant soon. It's not ready for approval yet. Yeah. Any other comments regarding that? Yep.
I think it would be smart if you're worried about the lighting, et cetera, in your areas to go through Rose Meadow, because you can see exactly the types of buildings that they're putting up, the types of lighting that is there now, and how it's affecting the sky at night. Can you still see the stars? You can. I've driven through it because we walked it when it was a concept over at Rose Meadow, and we asked a lot of those questions as we were walking because it was a wide open area, even though it was BAE land. But we cared then, and I'm sure everybody cares now, or what's going to happen to the wildlife, et cetera, in that area.
And another comment is I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the more complete plan for the trees, the, what is that plan called?
The lilac.
Landscaping plan. Because, yeah, our regulations do require adequate screening from Albuquerque and the trees along the internal roads for screening and character. And we have, for anyone who's interested, we have regulations for these developments that should hopefully, that they have to follow, that are designed to try to keep the character as within what we would find reasonable for this type of development, so that it's compatible with the town. Okay. Any other questions or comments for the applicant? Okay. So one thing that was brought up was a site walk. Is the applicant interested in setting up a site walk?
We're happy to participate, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Do you think we should do the site walk soon or later? What's what?
Where you tick repellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jay, do you have any input on?
I mean, to me, it's just such a wide open site.
I was gonna say,
I
you
feel
see
like
it
I
from
know
the
it,
road,
but
I
if
don't
I
know.
think if the board wants to do a site walk, it would be optimal if it were before the next time this was coming to the board, which we haven't discussed when that would be, but.
Well, let me ask you, since you brought it up, what is it that you would like to see that perhaps you feel like, or
It was
have
me.
explained to you on
It
the
was me, and it was mostly the brook, and also how close to the houses and everything. By not being out there on the land,
Sure.
you don't really understand what the people that are here are saying. You can look at as many pictures as you want, but from what this gentleman here is telling me, there's quite extensive distances between where things are going to be. And if you're on a site walk, you can stand where the buildings are going to be. You can look around and say, this is where I am. This is really what it looks like. Whereas it's very difficult. I've been on a lot of site walks for conservation, and it definitely brings it more to home. This is where the street's going to be. This is where it's just a different way of feeling the area than to be looking at paper.
I guess I was under the assumption that we had already done, I mean, we all individually had already done that. I know I have. I just assumed that everybody else had, so.
We might get something different out of maybe doing it as a group, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
Together, yeah.
Especially if the back corners of the buildings were staked.
Very impressed
and-
by the quality of life of the people that were going to be living there.
Yeah.
It was a different way of looking at what was happening, that all these people were coming in. And I also know that there is data for what's happened at Rose Meadow, which is 192 units. And 178 units, but how many apartments?
178.
Oh, 178, oh, okay. Sorry. There's already data with how many kids are in the schools from those. It was substantially less than what was anticipated by the schools at that point. So just to say that information is already out there.
Should we think about what might be a realistic meeting date for the next meeting, and then maybe try to schedule the site walk in between? And I think the next available date's May 5th.
Right.
I don't know if that's too soon.
That's good for us. Thank you.
That's the next planning board meeting. Are you talking about?
The next available one.
Okay.
We have another
Got it.
planning board meeting in 2 weeks, but that's not, that's scheduled, so so Cinco de Mayo would be the next available.
I feel the plans.
I'm also curious if the members of the public would be interested in joining us for a site walk.
It would be publicly noticed.
Yeah. So is it the will of the board to schedule a site walk?
Sure.
Yes. Okay. So I'm assuming a weekend time would probably be best.
Usually we do a Saturday morning. That's not a golden rule, but.
Easiest on every schedule.
So there's the 11th, 18th, and 25th.
11th is probably too soon to ask them to stake stuff, so
18th, not good.
25th?
How long would you want to wait before we came out and walked
Tomorrow if you want.
How quickly can you stay?
Well, Morgan Road is where Morgan Road is.
Right.
But the building, they want to stay.
Oh, you want buildings?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
like
can do it
the back
fairly
corners of
quickly.
the
What do you-
nearest building so people
what
can
is,
see.
Just give me can you give me coordinates on a plan? I'll just have my guy just lay them out.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Are you looking at this Saturday or the
No.
following?
What about the 25th?
We have to notice it. Could we do, would the 25th work? Just Saturday the 25th
I'm
work?
in Florida, actually, so yeah. What's the weekend before the 25th?
18.
We don't meet the
Saturday, May 2nd.
the deadline?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, only
selfishly,
24 hours
yeah.
to post. I mean,
What's 25 plus 18?
You're right,
The
you're right.
18th?
We could do Saturday, May
you
2nd.
only need 24 hours to post. I mean, not to.
The 18th or the 2nd is fine.
Does that work for you?
I'll
It doesn't
be
work
on
for
the
me, but
18th.
that's okay. I won't be here either.
18th, you won't be here. What about 2nd?
I'm here the 2nd.
Okay, what about
Want
May
all the
2nd?
buildings laid out or just the
No.
ones along?
No, just
The brook.
One's nearest
Just
the
along
brook.
Jared, how about May 2nd?
The frontage where you can put the commercial, like the beginning of the commercial.
it's possible.
The commercial buildings
Just
laid
the
out?
start, so you can show us where it's gonna start, so you can turn around and look,
Yeah, that's fine.
so you can kind of,
Put a balloon in the air too.
doesn't have to be wicked extensive, just.
No, we're gonna put
Ballpark.
stakes at each corner
Okay.
and number the building.
Okay. So we're considering May 2nd then? Does that work for the applicant and the members of the board?
Yes.
Okay. Then I guess what time of day works best? Morning or afternoon?
Let's do morning.
Yeah, I think people usually like morning.
Not too early, not too late.
Like 9?
9.
Or-
Don't ruin my day.
Morning person.
And 9's been pretty typical for us.
Okay.
I would suggest we meet at the Morgan Road Albuquerque intersection. There should be plenty of room there.
Yeah. And is the applicant okay with us parking on Morgan Road? Okay.
I was gonna say, good luck getting parking at the golf course on a Saturday morning. Not gonna happen.
No, not the golf course.
It won't happen.
And probably not too bad.
So sounds like May 2nd at 9 a.m. is when we're planning on meeting. And in the meantime, the applicant's going to stake the locations of the buildings near the wetlands and any others that you're
We'll
planning
do
on.
we'll do the retail buildings too.
And
It may
the
be-
intersection of Hollis Drive and Charles Bancroft would be good.
Yep.
And yeah, and getting an idea on how close those buildings are to Albuquerque would probably be helpful as well. How close the residential
Which one's Hollis?
is to Albuquerque would be good
This
for
is
just
Hollis.
perspective. And just for that, are you planning on reducing
Morgan didn't.
along Albuquerque? There is like a mound there in some parts, so that's going to be down, and so they'll make the buildings a little more visible probably.
If you look at Rose Meadow, it's gonna all flow like Rose Meadow does, the grading.
Okay.
You have to vote on the May 5th,
Right.
make a
Need a
motion.
motion.
Yep.
Continue.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion to schedule a site walk for this application for May 2nd, or May 2nd.
Second. And then you could probably make it one motion, then continuation.
I'll make that motion. Oh, I'm sorry. Is
Yeah,
that enough?
probably easier to just make them separate.
Oh, second, yeah.
My first motion.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second to schedule the public site walk for May 2nd, 2026 at 9 a.m. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the site walk, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, abstained, motion passes 6-0-0. So, anything else we should discuss today?
The next time this will be on our agenda is May 5th. What was the second thing we needed to make a motion on?
A motion to continue the public hearing to May 5th.
And that works for the applicant?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we continue the application until May 5th planning board meeting.
Okay. We have a motion to continue the meeting, or the application until May 5th, 2026. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Jesse. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion to continue the application, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, abstained, motion passes 6-0-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jay's report, too. Talk about parking.
Good hour and a half on that.
Actually, that was good.
Yeah.
It's good when people come.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that went. So,
Coming down the
That's good.
driveway.
next, we have some, I'll go to any other business. We have a few.
You're gonna need to speak up, speak into the mic.
It's
And
getting
can I
low.
ask somebody, Jessica, can you go close the door? So that we don't have all the noise,
Yeah.
please? Thank you.
Thank you,
I just
Jesse.
wondered if we should look to see, only because.
Yell into it.
Okay, so next, I'm going to move on to any other business. So we have
did you put that in
two
your
things
Comments?
on any other business for tonight. We have.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We have 522 Charles Bancroft Highway Mart proposed change.
Okay, that was on your portal, and they, let's see. The question came up, and I wasn't going to answer them, I want you to answer them. This email was on your portal. They want to, the back of the building, they're trying to save on costs. In lieu of the cultured stone, they would simply like the vertical board and batten continue down to the finished grade, only on the back. So this picture was on your portal also.
Yeah.
So the front facade would still have the vertical down to the stone, but
The front is not changing at all.
okay.
Yeah, it's
But it's
this-
just in the rear.
Just the rear.
Where the
Right.
vertical Or it goes all the way down?
Yeah, they would want to bring the vertical all the way down in the rear.
It's this little area here, the cultured stone.
And the only people that would be visible to then would be the people coming from the self-storage in the rear?
And
Well,
the
drive-through,
drive-through.
the drive-through.
And the drive-through, okay.
So it'll be pretty visible when you're behind there, but then the question is, how important is it?
Yeah.
So they agree. This was their the
This is their,
approved.
this is
plan.
what they want to do, and they want you to say it's okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is what is displayed here minus the proposed change is what they was approved back years ago when the gas station was approved, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And this is mainly a cost-saving measure.
Right.
Yeah, so the note here is just delete this cultured stone right along here.
Yeah, I'm curious how much money would be saved by that.
I don't know. I mean,
I'm sure
everything's,
every bit helps.
everything has gone up in price, especially items like that.
Yeah. And as long as they're not altering it on the other three sides.
No, they're not.
I don't have an issue with it, but,
Basically where the cars are queuing.
yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, they say right here, the front, left, and right sides will still have the cultured stone.
I guess what would the next steps be then?
Well, just, if you approve, vote on it, and then I'll let them know.
And the way that this was on the agenda, we are allowed to vote on this?
Yeah, that's why I put it on the agenda.
It's on the agenda, yeah, and it's really just a minor change, so I think it'd be okay.
It was a little more than an administrative change, I thought, so.
Make a motion, or do you want to have more discussion?
Well, any further discussion? Okay, so it seems like people are okay with this? Okay, in which case.
Make a motion.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that the property at 522 Charles Bancroft Highway, I'm sorry I don't have the map and lot number, but 522 Charles Bancroft Highway, Convenient Mart, proposed change to material at the rear of the building as specified in the email dated April 2nd, 2026, which implies there is no stone facade on the rear of the building as originally proposed.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve the proposed deletion of the cultured stone on only the rear of the building. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second by Travis Tucker. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, abstained, so motion passes 6-0. Okay, and the second thing was planning board stormwater input. What was this?
Well, that was just from that report that you got emailed a while ago. It was on, I think it's on the site from maybe the last meeting. And did you have any comments for town administrator?
Yeah, we, I'm assuming no new comments, but we have to definitely, I think in the last meeting we discussed how we wanted to break it down and discuss the sections of
Yeah,
the.
that was the meeting that Jay wasn't at.
Yeah.
Jay doesn't know. He's
Jay, do you have any comments regarding that?
Just that, I mean, certainly, I think some of the comments are reasonable, and there are things that we should address, and when we think it's appropriate, I'd be happy to take a stab at integrating those into potential regulation changes.
We like the way you chunk it up for us.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
It's excellent.
And,
is there maybe a good time, like in the coming weeks, to maybe think about, because we have to implement some changes before October 1st, correct?
Maybe our second meeting in May?
Okay.
Is that looking good? I know
Yeah,
our next two are booked, but the second meeting in May.
Yeah.
May 19.
Right, we could do that.
And then maybe look to have the consultants come back like June, somewhere?
It's probably a good idea, yeah.
Okay. And,
Is the consultant still on the town's?
I think so.
and, is there a dedicated person from NRPC that provides comments on the, these types of changes?
Most of it would be me, but we do have a couple people who are really into the MS4 stormwater stuff. So I'll definitely get their input also.
Sounds
They go to the Stormwater Coalition meetings and things that just make my eyes start to. But not Lou's. Lou likes that stuff.
Is yeah, it'd be
Too
good
long.
to it'd be good to get everyone's feedback on which changes are actually practical and which ones are theoretical. Some of them are definitely like that.
Yeah. That was true before too.
Yeah.
I think it took a little while. Actually, it took a lot of while, as I recall.
Okay, thank you. So next we have committee reports. Anyone here on any committees?
Not yet. No, not
Yeah, I think we're gonna.
Any things from the Board of Selectmen that are worth reporting on?
Oh, wow, I should probably have that, right? I'll be prepared next time. I'm mostly just kind of keeping quick and, yeah, so there's a lot going on with the board like there is here, but right now I'm just drawing a blank. That was a lot. That was definitely a lot for my first meeting. It was very interesting. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, welcome, by the way.
Welcome.
Thank you. We definitely want to have somebody from your board come and do a table talk with the selectmen so that we can get some more people involved with the board. We're going to do that with rec. We're going to do that with you. We're going to do that with zoning. So Jared, if you'd want to come on and talk to me with the table talk, have you had a chance to see any of them?
I think I've seen some of one. Yeah.
You've seen some of them. We did some financially. We did some with department heads for things for warrant articles and stuff. But because the election's over, it doesn't mean the need to communicate with people is over. So we want to expand that and explain what it's like to be a volunteer on one of these boards and how much you do, what you do, why you do it too. Because then that's a good way to get more people to come in. So.
Yeah, we are looking for more members and alternates right
And
now.
as a select person, that's something I want to try and help with. Try and help you guys do your job better and have more people in to help.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
It's a good board to be on. They didn't scare me away.
You stayed, okay. You stayed.
Upgrade.
You're a full member.
You upgraded even.
Okay.
There's the Capital Improvements Program, any takers on that? May 4th would be the first meeting.
I could not make the May 4th, but otherwise I'd be interested unless, if you want to do it.
I'm on a lot of meetings, committees already for
I could,
town and the.
I could start in June if that would be okay. I don't know if
Somebody
anyone.
could take May 4th.
Yeah, May 4th is, that'll be an organizational meeting, so.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Sounds good.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, on CIP, you should have either the chair or the vice chair anyway, to be honest with you. That's usually the best protocol, so that's good that you'll be on that.
Okay. And is it good to have an alternate for those types of things, or is it not that important?
You could, but it's kind of hard. Once you get into the flow, if you weren't at the last one, you didn't hear the presentation, and
Yeah.
so it's not impossible. So you certainly could appoint an alternate. You can just feel a little bit lost if you
Yeah. Okay.
can always read the minutes, I guess.
Okay. So yeah, thanks for volunteering to be in that part of that meeting. Okay. Next up on the agenda is to approve the March 17, 2026 minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review those minutes? And are there any proposed amendments? I do have one. I will locate it right now.
Have to add home occupation to the conditional use.
So the only comment I have
Right, and I still need to get you the zoning. I
is
just
on
tried to get it done for today. but I
page
didn't.
5 in the committee report section. We discussed, there was some discussion for the warrant article related to public works funding. And there's a comment that says that members noting that voter confusion may have contributed to its failure. It didn't fail, but it just had a proportionally larger amount of no votes because of likely those that didn't understand what it was proposing. So I think we just have to clarify that contributed to its higher additional votes against, but it still passed, so we have to clarify that.
What paragraph were you on?
That's in page 5, 1, 2, 3, 3. It's the third from the bottom.
Okay, thanks.
Additional discussion
Yep.
included clarification regarding a warrant article related to public works funding, with members noting that voter confusion may have contributed to its failure. And how do you think we should reword that?
We could just say change to its failure to the number of votes in opposition.
Or yeah, may have contributed to a higher quantity of votes in opposition. And maybe also add a note that it did pass. This for extra clarification, because that would definitely confuse a reader.
Do we have a settled version of the sentence? Jay, is there one that comes to mind, maybe?
I thought what I just heard worked, but
Yeah.
let me look at it.
Joan, are you taking notes on?
No, you have me totally confused.
Okay. So, page 5.
Yeah, I have,
additional-
I have the paragraph. But
So rather than may have contributed to its failure, we can say may have contributed to more votes in opposition.
That'll
Despite
work.
passing.
Yeah.
Despite passing.
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
I
good
like
with
that. I
that.
like that.
Mm.
Any other proposed amendments to the March 17th minutes? Okay, in which case, would someone like to make a motion to approve these minutes as amended?
So moved.
Okay, we have
Second.
a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving the amended March 17th, 2026 minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstained, motion passes 5-0-1.
I did overlook one thing. You kind of caught me by surprise. I didn't expect to speak tonight. The one thing about what's going on at the Selectmen's that I did want to talk to everybody about in planning is the circumventual highway land. Committee that's being formed in the first meeting is April 29th. It has come up to us, and then last Thursday, we could go Thursday, Jay, myself, Ray, and a couple of other citizens from Litchfield went to Hudson to hear the DOT's joint speaking for Hudson and for Litchfield. They also came to the Selectmen's, I think in December, to tell us the history of the circumventual highway, where it developed, how it got to where it is right now, and now it's kind of at a peak where that land is something's gonna happen with that land. And because of the concern of how many acres there are in Litchfield, I had a concern that we do a committee, and that it's gonna be the Circumventual Highway Exploratory Committee, and we're gonna be looking at the land, we'll be walking the land. I'm a big believer in understanding where you are in the picture that you look at. We'll be walking the land, and then we'll be looking at options for Litchfield with that land, exploring all of the options. We'll be talking about the laws that occur that we're able to understand whether or not we can buy it. Do we want to buy it? What would we buy it for? Would we turn around and sell it? There's lots of options, and we're going to be exploring what all of the options that Litchfield has when it comes to that land. So I've kind of picked people and asked people to be on the committee from different. I approached Letha because I know of her commercial background, and she's on planning, so it's a strong person to be on that board. Mr. Charbonneau is going to be on that board. He's a strong presence in the community building and knows so much about state law and local law. And Jason Brennan, he's a very big person in our community that does a lot with different things with different states and communities, with building and regulations and things like that. So everybody that I've picked for a specific reason. The first meeting will be April 29th. I'm excited to start it. I'm excited to figure out what we could do, if anything, to protect the base of Litchfield and also look at the economic development plan. It's a commercial area. It's one of our few commercial areas. What could we put there that may not weigh on our infrastructure, but would provide income, revenue for the town? So there's lots to look at. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be my first board that I've created and done. So my first committee. So I'm excited. Just wanted to let you guys know. Yes, sir.
On that subject, many years ago, when Roland Bergeron was the road agent, we actually did a little study for sewer service.
Okay.
With the circumferential going in. So one thing, Roland got the state to agree to put a sewer line across the river along the bike path on the new bridge. It's not going to be built. But Merrimack was happy at the time to take raw sewage because their plant is processing all the Budweiser stuff, which was one type. Now the Budweiser plant is being closed. Who knows what's going to go in. But Merrimack was happy. Hudson is in an intermunicipal agreement with Nashua. And at the time, they were doing an upgrade, I think, from either their secondary system or tertiary they're going to build. So Hudson wasn't in a position to grant Litchfield part of their allocation. How that changes, I don't know. But there is a sewer line that comes up Route 3A that would have to be upgraded to serve Litchfield, but it was possible.
Okay.
And that was critical to get a major facility in there, a hotel or something, which was proposed when the circumferential was there, done between 3A and the river.
We just have so much background to look at in that area and what is possible.
There's
Sewer
also
from Hudson
a
is not possible.
preliminary design layout for the extension of Albuquerque that was going to connect to a service road on the north side of the circumferential. They had it as part of their project to put in a service road for a back lot.
Right.
And the extension of Albuquerque there was a preliminary design done on it, which I gave to Kevin Brown. I had a copy of it. I gave it to Kevin.
And some of the right-of-way is still there.
He has that.
What I like about this land is that there's possibility of getting in from 102 as opposed to in through Charles Bancroft.
Right.
So that would, Charles Bancroft is a road that's definitely an old road that we're trying to make new things. You have to say about what she had to say about what we need to plan for Charles Bancroft she was very emotional, but it's a very
Miss
real
Douglas,
concern.
what Miss Douglas neglected to understand was we have no control over 3A. 3A is a state road.
It is a state road, but we have to think about what we're allowing to occur
Right.
on the sides of it.
Right.
Well, and in fairness, though, we've spent a lot of time discussing the sort of the master plan, but in this area, but we can't make property owners come to us with all of their ideas all at once because they're not fully baked and we don't know what's going to go in there.
DOT
so-
knew the cumulative effect
Yes.
of all that, and they didn't even want to fix Corning Road. So-
Yes, but DOT lines up their projects with what is currently in their mix. So that's one of the reasons why I asked him, I want to see the DOT reports as they come out, because that's where you'll see the assimilation of any and all projects that are not just hearsay, but that are actually in the mix to be considered. To that extent, we can't, we don't have a crystal ball. We can't foresee everything, but we can only control that which we have come before our board and understand what may come possibly, but it's not fully
The good news
baked.
with Corning Farm, that it's being occupied now, so when they do a traffic count, the projections, the 10 trips a day per residential unit is the standard from the ITE manual for doing trips. However, once you get a project that's in place, you can go out there and count them.
Yes.
So I'm sure some of that Corning Farm traffic, even though they have 2 more courts to finish, project's probably 2/3 complete.
Yep.
and
Have
occupied.
some real look.
But to try and blend in 3 or 4 different traffic studies is a nightmare.
It's tough.
Yeah.
But Corning Farm was the big one. Even with Corning Farm residential, that intersection, or Corning Road in 3A was identified as needing a traffic light.
And I mean, I would argue the piecemeal approach, if you will, that was the wording that was used, in some ways is helpful in that you have exactly that, what you were talking about, which are those data snippets that
Yeah.
allow you to then make a judgment based on the next project. You know.
Just going back to circumferential, though, I think, just a couple of takeaways worth noting is, one, and I hadn't realized that until we were at the meeting, that public meeting was a formal part of the dissolution process. So that effectively kicked off the formal process. And the next critical piece, which is why I think this committee is such a great idea, is they're going to go through the process of, they're going to have to go out to bid, find appraisers, and then go out and appraise all these properties. That process is going to take months in itself, because it'll have to go to governor and council. So we do have time, and but that'll be the next piece. And one of the things they did say is that because the towns have the first dibs on if we want to purchase the properties, and if there are parcels that are a priority for us because we're thinking about a warrant article, to just let them know, and they will prioritize doing those appraisals sooner if they can.
He seemed like he
So,
wanted to be really helpful, Jay.
yeah, I think so
He came up to
too.
me, I asked a question in the meeting about, because this land, if we don't buy it or decide what we want to do with it, will go to New Hampshire Housing. And I asked a question that had been tossed around in discussion, that New Hampshire Housing doesn't have to pay as market value. And he said, oh, no, they do. He came up to me afterwards and he said, oh, no, they don't. They
really?
do not. He came up to me afterwards and said
Interesting.
that when he went back to sit down, the gentleman that was with him said, oh, no, they don't. They have to pay very little on the dollar.
Interesting.
So we really needed the time. I'm glad we started when we did, to get this committee together to really look at where Litchfield can help themselves now, as opposed to reacting to things
Right.
that are happening around us. We have a chance.
That's right. And then if we don't want it, and New Hampshire Housing doesn't want it, then it'll be auctioned.
But we would definitely want to know if we have any master of our
Absolutely.
own fate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and without the town having to absorb costs for things. Because it is a small area of commercial that could be used.
But it's fair market value, they'll sell it to you.
Yes.
So, yeah, but there's gonna be a lot of looking at what's buildable, what's not.
Yeah.
You know, we need to understand the land rather than have someone come
Right.
to us and show us their view of it.
Well, they need to do a wetlands, like I talked
We
to
do
you.
need to have wetland
Search
studies
by
done
wetland
and-
study.
Yeah, it's gonna be a project and it's gonna be a lot of, it's an exploratory committee.
One other tidbit of that area down there, which.
You'll have to come to our committee meeting. and
Rick
you
Rick
have
will
history.
be completely aware of it, because he wanted to put his plant down there.
Yes, yep.
Because there was an old site plan that had some work done, and the question was it enough work to keep it as a site plan? I mean, this is dating way the heck back. And what happened with Rick's project is the Hudson people, who were abutters right along the Hudson town line. And I think he heard enough of them to say, we'll see you later, and abandon the site.
Yeah, I'm feeling very, very happy to have him on this committee.
Yeah.
Because he does know and he has looked into that
He
land
does now.
before, and he has no desire to own it now. So he's not gonna be somebody that we're gonna try and sell it to after. So.
That's
yeah,
why we zoned it industrial way back when.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to
Yeah.
do. So it's a great committee. I'm excited to
It's awesome.
be able to do it.
Okay,
And that's it. And I'm sorry, I just took me by surprise.
Thanks for all the insights. Is there any other business for us to discuss today?
Code enforcement guy.
Okay.
Just out of sheer curiosity, is
2 days a week.
do we?
Retired
I
guy.
can't remember. Do we have to fill the Lower Merrimack River advisory committee thing?
I thought Michael is staying on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he said he was staying on.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Okay, in which case it looks like if everyone is ready, someone can make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay. we have-
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second to adjourn. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion to adjourn, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, abstained, motion passes 600.
Then what do you do?
Okay, thanks
with
for watching
homework,
the
all home
April
occupations? Do I
7th
still
meeting of the planning board. Our next
a
meeting
year?
will be in 2 weeks
I
on
think
the
that's still
20th.
in the ordinance, right? The once a year?
And then